Welcome back to the Global Business Report here on Arise News. It is Friday, and once the show is over, I'm going to the cinema. Universal and Warner Bros. Twisters will look to make a major impact at the U.S. box office this weekend. It's also out in office. So we're looking at the July through the 14th weekend. Despicable Me, the Minions are back. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I haven't seen that yet. $44 million is what it made last weekend. Its total is $201 million. I think internationally it's over 572. The new horror film, Long Legs, just came out last weekend, so that brought in $22 million. Inside Out 2, $20 million over the weekend, last weekend, excuse me. Its total domestically $572. It's crossed $1.4 billion. It is now the second highest animated movie of all time, surpassing last year's Super Mario Brothers. And then we've got A Quiet Place Day 1, $11.8 million last weekend. Its total now is $116.2 million. And then Fly Me to the Moon, Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson, their new film that just came out, that did $10 million. That's from Sony and Apple. All right, we're not just looking at the US box office, we're also looking at indigenous filmmaking talent here in Nigeria at the university level. We've got three young filmmakers with us to discuss a short film called Dust, made here in Nigeria, a part of a passion project. So we are really happy to have, let's introduce them now. Ebubechi Ijere, who is an executive producer, director, and actor. There she is. And then we've got Adesola Toluhi, who's a production designer, and Michael Onuoha, Adesola is waving, who is a producer, editor, and a videographer. Welcome to you three. Well done. You guys are all still in school. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. So, Ebubechi, let's start with you. You're a director, actor, I think writer as well. What got you into filmmaking?
Okay, so I started performing since church. We used to live in Port Harcourt, and then I remember being a child and my mom would drop me off at church, dancing, acting, everything. I've always loved performing. I've loved going to the cinemas, theater plays. So I've basically just developed that passion over the years. That's where it started from. Fantastic.
Michael, you are a videographer. Yeah. You are a producer. So you're in the background. All these things we're looking at now. You're the guy who's putting this together and making it all happen. So what got you into where you are now?
I actually got inspired by a family friend of mine. So like growing up, I just always wanted to be around him, and he is into videography. So like I go to his house and we watch films together, and then every time he wanted to film something, he would call me and I'd assist him basically. So just doing that really got me interested in this whole process. So I just really wanted to do that as my
Fantastic. Adesola, you are a production designer. So you are the clothes, or explain what you do.
Well, it was majorly the set, and then ensuring that, okay, what she wore the first time, she was wearing this time. Right. Coordinating things like that, making sure everything was working well and all of that.
So what got you into production design?
I do other things in film.
Oh, explain. Tell us what you do. What else do you do?
I write.
Okay.
So I've written a script that we did for another project in school. Really nice. Then this was a production design because she wanted to do this film, and
that's right? Okay.
And I was really invested in it, and I'm invested in her success. So I guess I was ready to help her in any way, and production designer was the best way for me to help out in my skills because I'm very organized and making sure everything is on time, everything is coordinated well. So yeah.
I mean, this looks really good. So, Ebubechi, let's come back to you. What is Dust about? Tell us what it's about.
Okay, so Dust is a movie about a girl who is trying to find the answer to a question, but it's a little bit more complex than that. And then we see her go through stages of frustration, of hope, of anxiety. She's looking for this answer. The concepts behind Dust came from human frailty. So I had told my friend that I want to make a movie that portrays the frailty of human beings because I believe that there's a certain level where human knowledge, human creativity, our capacity stops. Okay. And at that level, the only thing that can help us is divine intervention. Right. So the point of Dust was to show somebody hits that limit, and the only thing that could help out basically was divine intervention, but it's not always as easy as that. So we just see her going through all the various stages, trying to get the answer to this question.
So the actual title, Dust, is that from dust to dust, or is that what inspired the title itself?
So you know how I said human frailty?
Right.
So when I was doing research for Dust, I was reading Job. I was reading a lot of. It was very heavy. It was very.
He got swallowed by a whale, didn't he?
No. Job was the one that was stripped of everything.
Who got swallowed by the whale?
That was Jonah.
Oh, yeah. Jonah. So okay, right. Job, Jonah. Thank you. I need to read my Bible more.
So
okay.
So Job was the one that was basically stripped of everything, and then he was very frail.
Yeah.
And there was a passage in Job that basically talks about how we're fleeting as dust.
Gotcha.
And then I was like, yeah, Dust. My sister, Chidibere, she's a brilliant author, storyteller. She helped me with the whole movie, with ideation, with constantly changing the scripts and everything. And she said, why don't you just name this? Because in the movie, she was trying to answer the question, why Dust?
Right.
So she was like, just name this movie Dust. And I was like,
yeah, you're onto something.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay, it looks, pretty sophisticated. Can you guys talk about, maybe Michael, the equipment used and I guess, for how you guys came about shooting and all that stuff?
Okay, so actually we just used one camera and a
drone.
One
camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
One camera and a drone.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of funding, obviously, because it's just us trying to do our own thing. And I own a camera. That's why she reached out to me, actually. So it's like, I own a camera and let's do this. We found a drone. We needed some shots with the drone. We found a drone. We had a camera. So we could do everything we wanted to do.
So everything we're looking at was just the three of you coming together and putting this together?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Okay, so my next question now is about the training that's being received in school. So are you all in film school or?
Not really, no.
You are not?
No.
So where'd you learn to do everything that you've done then?
So we're studying digital media.
Okay.
Right? Information science, media studies, but basically digital media. So it kind of has aspects of film, not necessarily just film. So that, and if you really like something, you try as much as possible to know everything about it. So yeah, that also helps. And
so you're all three in the same digital media set?
Yeah, we're in the same course.
And you attend all the same classes and stuff?
Yeah.
So, okay, so do we have film schools here?
Yeah, we have film
Yeah.
schools,
So do you plan on going to film schools?
I have been very fortunate to go to 2 film schools. I went to Louis Marie Stage School, and then I went to
That's
Del York.
here in...
Yeah, it's here in Lagos.
Okay.
And then Del York Creative Academy, that's also here in Lagos. So I have been to just those 2.
Michael, your training, you said you were inspired by your friend. How have you developed your videography skills over time?
Well, when I was still in secondary school, I would be with him, like my friend who brought me into this basically, and we'd like work together on stuff. He'd call me to like assist him whenever he's filming. Then I told my parents like, this is something I'm really interested in, and we found a school that had what they wanted me to do as well as what I wanted to do. So information science and media studies is like computer science as well as filmmaking. So while in school now, they basically teach us the foundation, like the fundamentals of filmmaking. So it's like they're giving me a stepping stone to now push further. So I can now practice on my own because I know the basics of what I'm supposed to be doing. So I can now like grow further on that. So I take like personal training and all, like I do my own individual projects. All of us are in, we started a multimedia corporation called
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. It's called If You Leave Me, I'll Be Scared. So we're all in it together. We plan on doing things together, basically. So it's like our own way of putting practical training into ourselves without having to do it as like a school project, just for us and ourselves, because this is what we're interested in.
Well done. Okay, so Adesola, let me come to you. Since you're dealing with sets and productions and stuff, and I'll have all of your answer, give me your thoughts on this as well. We don't manufacture anything, so all this stuff is imported. How do you deal with the cost of, how do you guys see the whole issue around the cost of equipment for filmmaking?
So luckily for us, really, Michael kind of had a lot of the things. The only issue we had was with sound. We wanted a boom mic, and we reached out to someone, and he was just like, okay, cool, you guys need this thing. We paid part of it. We didn't realize we needed the other half, which was kind of technical, because we didn't really know, because nobody really knew how to use sound, how to implement it and all that. So we reached out to him and we're like, okay, cool, do we need this thing? He said, yeah, we need this. And he just helped us out. He was like, okay, because he wants to invest in us, see what it turns out to. He gave it to us, and we're really grateful for that. But that was really the only thing we had to scour for Michael really had most of the things we needed, and if we didn't have something we wanted to use, we kind of made an alternative for it. So I think because of the fluctuating prices and things, most of the equipment we used at the time when we bought it would not be as cheap as how much it is now, because a lot of things we were using a gimbal. A gimbal is not cheap to use right now. So
Okay. So but let me come back to you. How are you also seeing because if you all three of you have put together a multimedia company, do you want to build a studio at some time in the future? How are you seeing the cost of putting equipment together to make, if you're going to make more films like this in the future?
Okay, so I think we cannot be unrealistic and act like making movies is not expensive. It is very expensive.
Yeah.
It is a reality that all of us are going through, but we are trying not to let that be a stifling factor for our creativity. So we basically, like what Adesola was saying, we just use what we have to get what we want. So like she said, things, if we couldn't have access to certain things or they were too expensive, it's like, okay, no boom mic, can we use our phones? Okay, no this, can we do this? And like she said, Michael was like a saving grace for us. He had a good amount of equipment. But yeah, like I said, we just it's something that we just have to adjust to and then constantly think of creative ways to use what we have to get what we want without it being too expensive that we don't even have money to fund other movies.
See, this is why, last segment we're talking about interest rates, the exchange rate, and all these things feed into productivity. So wait, Michael, one more time. All this equipment you bought was because your friend inspired you and you were into this, right? So that you've been accumulating this stuff over time?
Yes, over time, because obviously you can't just get everything at once. That's really expensive. So since I was lucky enough to get into this at an early age, it's since secondary school, I had already been telling my parents oh, I need this. It's I had been getting things over time. So I now have a wide range of equipment that I could even get when they were still affordable. Because I was looking out for a new gimbal now, and I saw it was over 900K, but when I got it 3 years ago, it was 200K.
Right.
So it's I'm just lucky enough to have already had all this equipment accumulated over time because this is something I wanted to do and my parents were interested in helping out, and my siblings, everybody really just funded the whole thing.
So again, I think I really do want to stress this point. So for you, you were dropped off as a young child at church. They had plays. That's why you got into this. You had a friend, an older person who inspired you and got you into. And just remind me again how you got into this again. How you got into the field?
I honestly just really like watching movies.
Right. So it's personal interest.
Yeah. When I was really young, my parents used to talk about how I could only watch TV from when I was a baby. It was kind of, I like these things. I analyzed them in my mind, watching movies. I analyzed how they made them, and it was just, I'm really interested in that. Great
stuff. All right, which I'm going to come back to you, all three of you again. This is a business show. Have you three... in producing this film, Dust, which is amazing. I thought it was a school project, a passion project again for the three of you. Have you thought about the business side of filmmaking? So the distribution side, shopping your movie to cinemas, paying actors, and what are you aware of about the business side of filmmaking so far?
To a large scale, I can't really speak much of it, but I had to learn a lot from these small projects because directing a movie is a lot. There's a lot of costs you have to factor in, like transportation. First of all, school is in Ibeju.
Wow.
We went to Babcock in Ogun State, we were moving up and down, and it was not cheap. So from little things like that, but there were a few places where we could cut down costs, like writing scripts. We didn't have to pay, I wrote the scripts myself, we didn't have to pay anybody to do that. But I am aware of the business side of filmmaking. When it comes to distribution and everything, I don't feel like my mind is there right now. I would much rather work on set and gain experience and see how that is done because it is a lot. And then when I learn enough, then I can start making my own movies and start thinking towards the distribution aspect. But right now, in terms of the business side, I will learn as much as I can with the little projects that we're doing here and there, but I mostly want to gain experience from actually being on set and just knowing what the whole thing entails, because no matter how much we think we know from these movies, there's still so much more that goes into making a movie. So, yeah.
Well done. Now, I think we saw a stadium. Was that Babcock?
Yeah, that was Babcock, yeah. The football scene.
Yeah, the football scene. Okay. Wow. So you were going back and forth from... Was everything shot here or you went around to other...
This is in Babcock.
Oh, that's not it.
This is a different location. This one is in Lekki.
Wow.
Bangkok is in Ogun State.
That is how long did it take to make this film? How long?
Like a month.
Yeah, just
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
A month?
less
Yeah,
than
it was,
Wow.
and it's just like 9 minutes long, and it took us.
That's why, yeah, a 2-hour movie can take years. So, okay, so Michael, what about you? Exposure to the business side. What's your view on the business side of movie
I mean,
making?
to an extent, I'm also well aware of the business side of film, but like she said, it's not my major focus right now, like the selling scripts and distribution.
Because you're the tech guy, you're the technical person, right?
So like, but then still for production, it's like I said, we have a multimedia company, so it's like we plan on finding our own way to distribute on maybe like our own platforms, which we already have, like our existing platforms. So it's like we're trying to do that because in our way, like that's our way of cutting costs and doing all that, and then still advertising ourselves and our talents to the world.
Yeah. Great stuff. Adesola, what about you? What's your knowledge of, or at least how you've seen the business side of film? What do you?
Well, a lot of my knowledge is kind of theoretical. I don't have practical experience, even though I would honestly like to, because I'm kind of business-centered. I'm very much of a goal-oriented person. So I feel like I'm very interested in understanding how distribution works more in a practical sense. Because theory sense is cool to know, but I think practically applying it helps me, know. So if anybody's looking for, please reach out to me. Like, I would love to learn from Netflix. Please
Fantastic.
text me.
Okay, you mentioned Netflix. Let me get to the streaming. So the news out today, Apple is, as I just asked you about shopping movies, right? Apple is trying to buy legacy content from Hollywood to put on their Apple TV Plus platform, which is a streaming platform. And then Netflix released their second quarter earnings. They did pretty well. What are you? And again, we're going to go around the table with the three of you. What are your thoughts on streaming? The movies, did you guys make this? I know it's a passion project. Do you want to make films that are in theaters, or do you want to make them for streaming platforms? How do you see the whole streaming dynamic? Or are you a hardcore purist for theaters? What's your views there?
I love the fact that streaming has allowed more stories to be told, in the sense that the cinema is a business. So you have to make movies that are going to sell.
Yeah.
But streaming allows for more indie filmmakers, more independent filmmakers to put out their work. And I think that's very profound, especially in Africa, where we have so many different stories that people want to tell. And sometimes it may not even be as appealing to an international audience, but it allows for creative expression. So I love that streaming platforms, Netflix, Amazon Prime, even YouTube.
Right.
People are making movies and posting them on YouTube. So I love how they have basically given people a voice, people that would normally not have a voice. And I honestly, like I said in the beginning, that I love going to the cinema. So I am still a strong cinematic, like I love going to the cinema and everything. And I feel like I like the way it brings people together, because while streaming, yes, it is convenience, yes, it allows stories to be told, which is extremely important. I just like the traditionality of cinema, of everybody. If you go to cinema sometimes and something interesting is happening, you see people start clapping.
Right.
We can laugh at this, but I like how everybody is just brought together by this one thing on this massive screen. Like I love that whole.
Yeah. All right, so we have a cinema purist here. Michael, what about you? How do you see the whole streaming cinema
I
thing?
think I'm more into streaming. Like,
Okay.
I like the traditional going to the cinema and all that, but like I like that as like an experience. It's like I'm not going to the cinema every day.
Right.
I'm just going to the cinema every once in a while, maybe with my friends. It's something we can do together. But for me as a filmmaker now, I think you can see filmmaking in two aspects. I see it as an art and as a business. So it's like I am more into the art than the business of it.
Right.
So it's like streaming platforms, like she said, has given independent filmmakers more of a voice, because we made Dust. We cannot say we want to put Dust in the cinema. Nobody's going to pay to watch that. Like,
well, you never know. I think what you guys know. I get what you're saying. You
never know, but like, at the same time, like, who are we? We don't have enough of a name to say we want to put like a large audience.
Right.
But then putting on streaming platforms now, you're testing the waters. You're trying to see who exactly is interested in your stuff, how much of an audience you can actually get out of this, what are people's remarks. It's like, if it's a cinema, we don't necessarily know how to get people to now like talk about it. But if it's on YouTube or it's on Instagram, basically people are leaving comments, obviously, so you know exactly how people feel about your films, how like the experience, how everything is going on. So I feel like streaming platforms for me is more convenient and efficient as an independent filmmaker.
So 1-1. Adesola, are you gonna break the tie? Where are you on the whole thing?
I kind of appeal to the cinema side because It's an experience. It's really something, because that's kind of another thing that really helped in terms of my love for film. Because, you know, when you enter the cinema, you know, you're eating your popcorn, the coffee, everybody is with you.
Yeah.
Do you get, like, you know, every Nigerian film in the cinema, everybody is laughing. Like, Wedding Party, when we watch Wedding Party, the amount of Nigerians that were in that whole experience, oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
Like for those couple of minutes,
Exactly.
likes the same.
Yes.
Like we are one.
Right.
For those like maybe
Thank
120
you.
minutes.
But
Fantastic.
honestly, in streaming is a whole new ball game, because I feel like streaming connects more. Like when you're watching something on your laptop on your own, and you just have that experience, and you're like, oh my god, I picked this. Oh my god, it's just like that personal, individual experience you have to yourself to be able to say, wow, I love it. So I think I'm for streaming. I'm sorry.
You started out with cinema and ended with streaming. So, okay, well, we're out of time. As far as future projects, would you work for a streaming company or Hollywood or Nollywood? Where's your heart lie? You guys all want to stay in Nigeria and work here, or get jackpot and go do something in California?
I think Nigeria has way too much potential for me to up and leave.
Yeah.
I would like to gain experience abroad, obviously, but this is my home base.
So you're gonna be
There's
here.
so many things that need to be reintroduced here, need to be done better. People are doing what Desi FO, Bibi Sasori, he did Breath of Life. They are doing an amazing job.
All
But I
right.
just feel like there's a niche audience that hasn't been targeted, like sci-fi movies and just all these unconventional movies, which is, our brand is very unconventional and unorthodox. So,
Fantastic. Same thoughts?
Yeah, same. I think I was based in Nigeria, but like obviously I want my films to be viewed around the world.
Yeah.
So like,
Just the same thing?
Yeah, honestly, the same thing. We need to enjoy certain genres, because it's not just drama, comedy. We still have a lot more to explore here.
Hey, look, Ebubechi Ijere, director, actor, Michael Onuoha, producer, editor, videographer, Adesola Toluhi, production designer, writer. Very impressive conversation. Thank you three for this work you've done. I will bring you back. If you guys make more movies, I'm going to bring you back and follow your careers. Thanks for joining us on the Global Business Report. I really appreciate your time. All right. Talented youth in Nigeria, that's what we're talking about. That's going to do it for the Global Business Report. Do stay tuned to Arise News. From all of us, thanks for watching. Thanks for your company. I'm Rosu Sodiri.